G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags. Now, first things first, I want to apologise for these two clips. For some reason I had an issue with my recording software and it failed to record the game sound. But these two videos were too good to just throw away, so I decided I would use them regardless. Now, first up, I'm taking out the 162. Now, I really haven't shown many 162 videos since I did my review on it some months ago, and that was because once 1.3 rolled around, this plane ran into some fairly severe problems in regards to its matchmaking. Due to the compression in what was Era 5, the way it used to operate, this plane would constantly be put against things like F-86 Sabres, and it was near impossible to have a good match in. It was nothing so much wrong with the plane, it was having to fight aircraft that was so superior to it in every single way that it was handing the enemy team a free kill to bring it out, which really disappointed me because I really do love this aircraft. Just going into a burst climb after hitting 500 kilometers an hour in level flight. A few things have changed with the patch though, with recent patches that have made this plane easier to fly for new players, where it used to be quite difficult. Now, the first major change that's happened is with the way overheating works. You now have your oil and engine temperatures on screen. We've gotten used to those, and we've now, in 1.39, we have timers showing flameouts on engines. Now, one of the major problems 162s used to have when flying at low altitude is they would overheat your engine, but the only way to know your engine was coming into overheat was, well, when you suddenly when your engine basically started dying, was the only real indication that you were in a world of trouble. So my recommendation in my review was never to wet below 3,000 feet in it. Just avoid the problem completely, just never do it. Likewise was always to keep your speed above 500 kilometers an hour. If you manage to do both of these things, you very rarely had overheating issues with this aircraft, even when using WEP all the time. With the way engine temperature and oil temperature are now both displayed so you can monitor them, and the timers attached to show time to engine flameout, it's much easier to micromanage your temperature while flying them. The same basic rules apply. If you keep it above 500 kilometers an hour and you don't wet below 3,000 feet, you'll never have an overheating issue in the aircraft. However, in those situations where you really wanted to wep in the past and you just didn't think it was safe, it's now easy to quickly glance up and take a look at exactly how your engine is performing to work out whether or not it's safe to be able to perform. Now, the matchmaking for the plane is also improved. With the increase in battle rankings, you no longer have to worry about Sabres in the 162. You still have to worry about things like the F-80C, however. But with their changes, so their wings are no longer indestructible, they're now suffering from more compressibility issues at high speed, so their maneuverability's taken a hit. The wings braking obviously prevents their ability to pull those crazy 17, 18, 19 G turns that they used to be able to do, and their overall performance at lower altitudes is now much reduced. These are much easier aircraft to deal with, coupled with the changes to the way 162's flaps works. The way it used to work is, well, they operated more like air brakes. You'd go to combat flaps and put it into a turn, and the 162 would brake like you just deployed the air brakes on a bloody F-86 Sabre. It would slow down from 700 kilometers an hour to 300 to 400 kilometers an hour in seconds. This no longer happens. The combat flaps will rip off if you use them at high speeds for an extended period of time. However, they no longer suck your speed out, so it is safe to use them in situations where that little bit of extra maneuverability for a few seconds could help. As you see, I was able to get above that F-80C and push it down into the ground. I'm not going to continue. There is a Meteor F3 in the area, and I want to make sure I have an altitude for dealing with that. I will make a second shot at the boom, but the F-80C's already got a tail, so I really wasn't expecting to get a kill there. So 90 degrees at 810 kilometers an hour, and I'm tracking down this Meteor F3. I want to get it out of the match next. Now, the buffs to these planes have made these things far more competitive, but the 162 still has them in maneuverability and can maintain a higher straight line speed providing you don't maneuver. So chasing them down, even when they're under full wep out of a dive, is possible. As you can see, he's juking around a lot at the moment, so he's actually bleeding a lot of speed, where I'm keeping my turns very slow, very gradual. First shot gets a hit in, I damage the elevators, I keep the nose down. He's trying to reinitiate a dive to pull away. Second shot goes a little low, aim a little higher, third shot takes the wing. That's the key when dealing with things like the Meteor F3. with something that's only got the M2 MG151s that the 162 has, aim for a weak point. The join on the wing, in between the engine and the fuselage on the Meteor F3s, are perfect points to attack. Next target, F8F. Now, before I go on that F8F over there, I'm going to take a shot at this B-17. Now, I missed these shots and it was bad aim on my behalf, but these are the bane of 162s in this era, and it's really the only issue the 162 now has. 162 doesn't have the firepower to easily destroy multiple B-17s on a match. However, it has the speed and maneuverability to be able to get to them. It just can't kill them, or at least not easily once it's there. The record I've managed to ever take out on a single ammunition clip in the 162 this patch was a B-24 Liberator and a B-17, and it took everything that I had to do it. Why I'm dealing with B-17s, however, I'm not dealing with fighters, which is really what the 162 is built for. So you need things like the 163 around to be able to take the B-17s out. But this creates a problem because the 163s air spawn and they're so fast that the amount of times I've gone into battles with equal numbers of 163s as 262s, and by the time I've gotten into the combat zone to engage, the fight's over. The 163s have either killed everything or they've been destroyed, and it's a fight that's multiple against me. I'm fighting at a disadvantage. So you can see here the maneuverability of the 162 following this F8F in close turns. Now, I'm never able to quite match it, but I can come very, very, very close to getting on it. Passes underneath. I try and scissor. He easily pulls in on me, so I widen my turns so he misses the shots. He gets a clip in on my wing, but nothing too critical. It's not really going to bother my flight. Point the nose at the ground, and here I am, well under 3,000 feet, and I'm full WEP. I'm monitoring my engine and oil temperatures. You can see them rapidly climbing. But with these gauges now on screen, I can safely do this and not have to worry about killing the aircraft. Or at least know the point where I have to shut the WEP down and let the engine cool. So roll over and return in on the F8F. I've got a very limited amount of ammunition left. I'm just about to run out, only 52 shots. This has to be perfect. Shots through, take the wing. Continue the boom. Exit back to altitude, but I'm now down to one single shell left. I'm ineffective. I've got to go back for ammo. And if you look at the cap at the top of the screen, that is what happens when you don't have 163s around to deal with the B-17s. With the 162 is great at dealing with fighter versus fighter combat now. It is incredible at it. It is a great aircraft to fly. But when you start facing teams that have 4 to 6 B-17s on their side, you just cannot kill them fast enough in a team of 162s to be able to guarantee a win. They will just bomb you out before you can finish the job, which is in fact what happens with this match. There's still 2 B-17s alive. All we've really got left is a K4. He did an awesome job, took out 3 of the B-17s. We've got a TA-152 that took a B-17 as well. The rest of the team is 262s. We cleared the skies of fighters, but we just couldn't deal with the B-17s. They were just impossible to take out. So this match is a loss. So results for the match. We got 3rd place with 2 kills, no awards for this one. 30,690 silver lions and 4,140 aircraft research points. No modification research points as my 162 is fully upgraded. Battle took about 8 minutes, and well, this shows both the advantages in changes that have been done and the problems that the 162 now faces. It is an amazing aircraft in terms of its fight capability against equivalent jets now. It's highly competitive and great fun to fly. But when you start getting swarmed by B-17s in large numbers, the 2 MG151s it carries just do not deliver enough firepower nor have enough ammunition to be able to deal with them. In fact, the only B-17s that got taken out by this match had to be carried by the K4 and the TA-152 that were on our teams. Me and the other 162 were able to clear the skies of fighters, but we really couldn't help with the bombers. So next up, we go into the 262 A-1, the first of the 262 series. Now this aircraft also benefited a little bit by the changes to the way the battle rating system worked in this patch. However, nowhere near as much as the 162 did. The major change that was claimed is that with the battle ratings being increased to battle rank 8.7, 262 should never fight Korean-era jets, but this is only half true. It'll no longer fight top-end Korean jets, so you no longer have to worry about F-86 F-series. You won't have to worry about things like the MiG-15 Biz. However, 8.3 battle rank aircraft are still entirely possible to get into matches, and the ones that give this thing its biggest problem is the F-86A and the F9F2, both of which are present in this match. Now, there was a recent patch change to the way the MG-108s work, or the 30mm cannons that this thing is equipped with. They had a problem with the amount of damage being delivered by the high explosive shells. They were not delivering damage as they should be, if not delivering damage at all. That has been corrected, which means this aircraft is back to being the most dangerous weapon-equipped aircraft in the game. With 4 30mm cannons in the front, it has hands down the highest burst mass of any aircraft available, and it has a decent ammunition load. Just take a snapshot of a Sabre there, didn't give it quite enough lead. It has also had some flight model adjustments. It now actually can climb and maintain or gain speed, something it was never capable of doing in the past, which was, well, it was very broken. Coupled with its high levels of maneuverability, even facing these fighters, you can develop an advantage. The F-86A obviously beats the plane in climb performance and in maneuverability, as does the F9F. But the maneuverability that it has, coupled with its gun performance, if you can get it turned at just the right time and squeeze the trigger, you will give somebody a very, very bad day. So I just knocked down past that F-86A5. I am aware there is an F9F incoming. I have to be wary of it. The A5 puts itself in a bad position, and the A5 on my wing takes him out. So that's the first F-86 dealt with. We have a second one incoming. There are 2 F9F2s. Now, the good part about this plane is with its high burst mass, bombers are not a problem like they are in, well, when you're in the 162. However, because it's got a 7.7 battle rating, you don't see the B-17 swarms quite as much in this aircraft. It generally turns into fighter versus fighter combat. So I begin making a climb. I'm bleeding a bit of speed, but I just want to get some altitude up, so I'm ready to engage this F9F, try and make the turn. Unfortunately, it's already got its dive on. I'm not going to be able to capture it. And it takes down one of our A1s. Now, this is not good. It's worth mentioning at this point that this 262 is almost stock. I only have the first couple of upgrades on this one, so its performance will increase over time. Despite having it for a very long time, I haven't actually flown this aircraft a lot due to the matchmaking it used to get. It was a very good way of throwing away credits if you wanted to, but not really good if you wanted to have a good match. So the F9F is going to try and take a dive position on me. This was a risky move. Pull it straight vertical, give him some 30mm to fly into, and take him out. Now I pushed myself into a stall position here, which is really not good to do. It was a risk, but a lot of pilots are not realizing the way high-speed compressibility is working on aircraft now. When you start taking dives like that, you lose a lot of your maneuverability. That F9F2 had a perfect dive position on me, but because of the speed it was moving at in that dive, it had no ability to maneuver away from my guns. That would have been a double kill if he had aimed slightly better. But it wound up flying through my line of fire, so, well, I've said it in the past and I'll say it again, the 262 is the last plane you want to have with its guns locked onto you. The burst mass is that high, if it connects, game over. Now, while the maneuver itself was risky, I didn't have a lot of choice in it. At equal altitude, the F9F2 matches the 262 in terms of maneuverability, but it has a much higher level of thrust and a much higher climb rate. Coupled with the fact that it also is WEP capable, there was no way for me to get into an advantage position on that aircraft to kill it. The pilot was a good sport though, and played through a well played. Responding kind, he's just a good pilot, he just lucked out on that one. And that's left us with no fighters left to hunt. All that's left now is the AI, and here you'll see exactly how devastating these guns can be. Move in on the AI B-17. Now the biggest issue is trying to get your close distance right. Although the 262 is not the fastest jet in the game, it is fast enough against slow moving B-17s to make shots difficult. So I clip it off there, I take one of the elevators, I cripple an aileron and do severe damage, but it wasn't enough to kill. Pull back out to range. wasn't giving quite enough lead on that shot either, so time to see if I can correct that. Put the guns well in front where he's going to cross. Line up the shot. Boom. Nothing but confetti. Move in on the second target. Now I've only got 42 rounds left here, so this is all the ammunition you need to take out B-17s in this aircraft, and it's probably a good reason for this plane not to face them commonly in these form matches, because player B-17s, if you wound up with a team of B-17s versus a team of 262s, it would be an utter slaughter. Even the current B-17 damage model is incapable of taking the sort of damage that these planes are capable of putting out. So roll high. Reinitiate the dive. Take the lead. Split the tail off. Easy as that, and that was the end of the match. So the results for the match: second place with 3 kills, 1 player, F9, F2, and 2 AI B-17s. Terror of the Sky Award, Bulletproof Award, 74,295 Silver Lions, 3,108 mod research points, and 6,860 aircraft research points on a premium account, no double. And as you can see, mod upgrade wise, I'm only just starting to work on the airframe of this aircraft. So that is really the last of the true German jets in the German tree. After this, you've got the Canadair Sabre and you've got the MiG-15, excluding the rocket-powered 262, which is almost identical to this one, just with the rocket. It's a bit heavier, a little bit more sluggish due to the weight of that engine, but with the rocket boost capable, allowing it to climb at rates that are truly ridiculous. Now, flying with these aircraft, I guess the key thing to remember is they can be competitive if used correctly and used intelligently, but you are always fighting as the underdog. The aircraft you are facing are generally superior to you in both performance. They're generally newer aircraft. In many cases, they will have equivalent levels of firepower, except in the 262, which has, well, it's still the king of the burst mass. If you use them, even though they don't perform as well as some of the jets you'll be facing, you can still pull victories and you can still make a lot of kills. You just have to be aware of the limitations of the aircraft and working out how to use them correctly. In the case of things like the 262, that requires you remembering that you're never going to outclimb your target, so you need to drag him down to your level and kill him where you are. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry about the sound again. I'll have that corrected for the next one. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.